Chapter 1. LOL, you keep texting. The sharp buzzing of my phone vibrated against the leather armrest, shockingly loud in the quiet room. Across the office, Dr. Stevens was standing near a small wet bar, carefully pouring a glass of ice water. He was a firm believer in these brief, deliberate pauses. He called them reflective intervals. According to him, taking a moment to breathe gave the subconscious just enough room to muster the courage needed to pull a repressed memory into the light. Out of the corner of my eye, I saw him glance back, giving me a subtle, don't get distracted, look over his shoulder. I wasn't entirely sure focusing on Sarah's relentless text updates was helping my breakthroughs, but I appreciated the lifeline. I'd known Sarah for nearly all my adult life, and I had a sneaking suspicion she was sending me stream of consciousness nonsense on purpose, knowing I needed a distraction to keep from spiraling during these heavy sessions. I had to admit, the tension in my chest was starting to tighten again. "Jim," Dr. Stevens said gently, his deep voice slicing through my thoughts to pull me back into therapy mode. "I wanted to remind you, as we've discussed before, you need to actively claim control in your day-to-day life." I reached out and wrapped my fingers around the cold glass of water he set down on the end table. I was careful not to let the condensation drip onto the dark, polished wood. The intricate leaf patterns carved into the table's borders looked as though they had taken a craftsman months to complete. Doc must have picked it up on one of his weekend antiquing trips. It fit so seamlessly into the rest of his plush, comforting office. I often wondered how he managed to make a professional space feel so utterly relaxing, or how he had collected so many books. In my 43 sessions here, I'd managed to count 23 distinct volumes on the main mahogany shelf. I knew healing was a slow journey, but sometimes I'd focus on anything in the room just to avoid staring at the truth sitting right in front of me. "Dr. Stevens, I said, leaning back and rubbing the back of my neck. "I know today is a new day. I know I'm doing better than I was. It's just, sometimes I catch a glimpse of something. A flash, a shadow, a movement out of the corner of my eye. And I panic. I start wondering if I'm regressing back to the way I was." I swallowed hard, staring into the swirling ice cubes. I keep reminding myself how hard all of this was on Sarah. For a long time, I honestly thought I was losing my mind. Dr. Stevens had been my anchor through the worst of it, especially after I lost the house. Back then, my hands shook so violently I couldn't hold a pen, let alone keep a job or take care of anyone else. "Phew. Okay," Dr. Stevens instructed, taking a deep, exaggerated breath. "Take a big breath with me. Exhale, now repeat after me. I have done the work. I feel the positive. I have people who care for me." It sounded like a cheesy self-help chant, so why did it actually work? I repeated the mantra aloud, feeling the familiar grounding effect wash over me. By the time I finished, my voice was steady and my hands were still. Dr. Stevens stepped forward and offered a warm, professional handshake. "Jim, I'd like you to review a few of those childhood milestones with Sarah before our next visit. Moving forward, we're going to adjust our schedule to an as-needed basis. You both have my private number. I'm always here if you hit wall, but I feel good about where you are because you feel good." He smiled, a look that implied the heavy lifting was done and the rest was up to me. I returned his firm grip, offering a genuine smile. I wanted him to sense my gratitude, to know just how much he'd pulled me back from the edge. "Thanks, doctor. I'll stay on top of it. I promise." Bus. A new text flashed on my screen, parked outside. "Sarah's here," I murmured, gathering my jacket. "Gotta go." The midtown air was crisp, washed clean by the morning rain that had swept through an hour ago. Because these morning sessions wrapped up right before lunch, stepping out of a 3-story brick building meant diving headfirst into a fast-moving stream of people. The sidewalk was already packed with office workers galloping toward the nearest food trucks lined along the curb. "Oops, sorry," I muttered as I accidentally brushed shoulders with a guy in a trench coat. "Better pick up the pace." Bus. "Sarah, Cuban tacos. Alvarez Street. On my way." The aroma of seared pork, cilantro, and warm corn tortillas hit me before I even saw the truck. The crowd was a wall of hungry commuters, but then I spotted her, standing near the front of the line, waving her arms wildly. "Sarah, Sarah." I called out, feeling a bit silly shouting over the street noise. "Jim." "Wait there, I've got this," she yelled back. She rattled off her order to the vendor through the service window with practiced ease. The cook grinned and waved her right up, as if her bright auburn hair and infectious smile were a golden ticket. It was classic Sarah. She had a way of charming the world without even trying. Her floral summer dress caught the cool breeze, giving her an effortless, vibrant energy that stood out against the drab city backdrop. Seeing her like this made my chest ache with a brief pang of guilt. I constantly worried she had put her own life on hold for too long just to pull me through the dark. The last few years had been an absolute nightmare for her, watching me unravel. I owed her everything. Around us, a tide of gray and blue suits swirled against the damp concrete. Under the overcast sky, the downtown rush felt cold and mechanical, and for a second, I lost sight of her in the sea of dark coats. A brief, cold spike of panic hit me, a nano-moment where time seemed to freeze, dragging me back toward the paranoia I thought I'd left in Doc's office. Then she broke through the crowd, holding 2 foil-wrapped packages, her face lit up with a triumphant smile. "Did you see that?" she laughed, handing me a bundle. "People kept telling me to back up, and I was like, nope. I ordered, I paid, and I am not budging." I blinked, still snapping out of my momentary trance. "I'm sorry, I should have pushed through to help you." She nudged my shoulder playfully. "Are you kidding? That was exhilarating. Here, you have to try this new place. The Cuban tacos are incredible."